thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he getting it, bit and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their boss has been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash, for the shit out of luck. I want it more, now I get what I wish. Upgrading now with some pants that I whip. Making 6 figures, don't talk about it. Money ain't shit, it's about how you think. Tired of people who making excuses, then they complain about losing. Tell me about what you been doing, tell me about how you been moving. You ain't got nothing to prove then. I did it all on my own, they looking like all of my clones. I don't be following trends, fuck all the popular clothes. You faking and everyone knows. I just be keeping it real, they thinking that I have to go sign a deal, but really the people just found an appeal. I'm in my own lane and I'm steering the wheel, ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Working every night till the sunrise.
Welcome back once again, season 5, episode 5, and we're kind of cooling it down from the last episode with ACT. You had a couple heaters in there I didn't expect. It made me think for a minute, you know, the best of...
I was sitting back there, I was sweating it a little bit. I'm like, damn,
best
glad
of,
it was you, not me.
Yeah, best of the past, present, future. So, going into this era, it's 2014. I want to get you in that mode.
Alright, that's tough.
So, you know, we're on... and getting in deep with, you know, the EBW, the XCW feud, you know, the Crusaders, you know, Emily Moore, James Gerke, Carnage, Tommy Merriman.
Was this during the end of days time? Was Carnage and James Gerke together at the time?
Potentially.
Okay. I'm going to say, because I know Carnage was trying to dethrone Emily.
Yeah. Not quite that far.
Okay.
May 3rd. Do you have any idea what the show is?
May 3rd.
2014.
Breakdown, maybe?
No.
No?
We are going to get a discussion about EBW Outrage.
Oh! I would have never guessed that. Alright.
Well, I went back and looked at all the footage. We have not talked about specifically this show or Backyard Bash. We, you know, glossed over them in the EBW vs. XCW feud episode.
Yeah.
We never actually talked about them. So we're going to get into this one. And obviously, big storylines going into this. What do you remember about this time?
Man, was this a fun time. So, obviously, like, EBW was hot. EBW was big.
Oh, yeah.
We took advantage right after WrestleMania of the previous year. We took upon ourselves to do the retro show. And one of the ways that we found to introduce, because me and you come off SummerMania, looking for who was going to take ownership of the company.
Yes.
Me or you, as you'd just been back just a little before that. And you were doing the co-GM spot with Emily, and then you kind of put on the line, hey, I want the whole damn company. So you even brought back the old
EBW Championship.
The old title. Well, you brought back the old title, and then we had the Undisputed thing. But so all things lead to the to set the tone for how we got to this. We had the retro show. Gabe was the interim general manager since he was a previous general manager. That's how EBW kind of came to fruition.
Bought some stock.
Yeah. Fast forward. Here we are. Gabe is literally threatening to take down XW and turn it into EBW forever. And one of the ways that he wanted to prove the EBW was a viable, you know, an actual legit threat to XCW was he was going to put on his own show. And XCW stars were going to do everything in their power to make sure that they destroy EBW before EBW destroyed them. And all I got to say, EBW put on 2 events that year, and they were both hell shows.
There was one star that was not a part of EBW. There was one star that is now a part of XCW. That was you. Explain what you were doing.
So the big thing is I just recently had my first character Meltdown.
Yep.
That was when I even ran down Gabe on commentary, which he took to heart, by the way. He didn't. I was like, man, it's just a story. And he's like, legit. He's like, damn, I didn't know that I was doing such a bad job. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. It's not like that. It was just character. Yeah. So it was a hell of a time then, and I knew that we were getting ready to do this EBW, XCW thing, and I wanted my character to be more neutral because we knew that I was kind of the owner of XCW, but Emily had really taken the role of being like the one in charge of everything. So I thought it would be a fun and different situation where you have the whole company battling each other, but my character is just so fed up that he didn't care about either one, and that played an interesting story throughout the whole thing because it's like both sides are vying for me. It's like, hey, like this guy is a crucial part of both, and even at one point at the Extreme King 2014, you, Gabe, and Genocide thought you had me, and I come out in EBW colors. You guys gave me the New Age title, and it was all just a ploy so I could steal your title, but because Gabe was champion, what was he gonna do?
He was.
So. So I just kind of played monkey in the middle, and I showed my true allegiance in the end at SummerMania when I came out in XCW colors, and I called it on XCW side against Gabe on the other side, and that was a wrap.
And it made, even though the storyline was already interesting, just add the icing on top of the cake, the Fletch, the neutral man. We're gonna dive into first match of EBW Outrage was a battle royal between Chris Jones, Mitchell Maverick, Ox Cannon, James Cerebral, Genocide, and the better Chaos, Austin Chaos, to determine the inaugural EBW champion in XCW. I would end up winning this match. What do you remember about it?
I think that it was obvious that, you needed to have both sides represented in the Battle Royal.
Yes.
And that's why we had, like, the lights of Ox Cannon and so forth in there. But it just made the most sense, hey, let's give it to Chris Jones. Chris Jones was started the original EBW. Even though this version, this incarnation of EBW was Gabe.
Yes.
Everybody knew the driving force behind EBW, the love and the power of EBW was all Chris Jones. So we wanted to make sure that bled through in this new version of EBW. And not a better way, in my opinion, to start off EBW, crowned champion, by having the best superstar of all time for XCW and the man who literally created EBW, Chris Jones. And before that, I don't know if, before we get too far into this, you also made Gabe the very first EBW Hall of Famer.
I was actually going to mention that, but I wasn't sure if it was this show.
I believe it was this show.
But, me and, was it Genocide or Austin? Yeah, me and Genocide came out, announced Gabe. Gabe, currently the only EBW Hall of Famer at this current point.
If it wasn't in that, it's still an important piece.
Gabe's also the only announcer to ever hold a championship. That, non-wrestler announcer.
He also wrestled Eternal Darkness at a Backyard Brawl.
He did. And
what's funny, I don't know if people know this, and it'll probably be at the bottom of your screen. So, I don't even know if you realize this. 2022 schedule just came out, and there's only 3 Ground Zeros scheduled for 2022. One is Countdown to Cold Day. Number 2 is Outrage. And number 3 is Backyard Brawl. It still lives today!
I have not seen the schedule.
Yeah, 2022. The 2 main Ground Zeros within the season are both EBW represented shows.
Also, one of my favorite times about this era is, we got one of the best entrance themes of all time. We got to hear Salt and Pepper. What a man.
Yep.
And that nobody would think you could pull it off, but you, me, people of our kind, we could, any fucking, it doesn't matter what the song is, we will make it fucking work. Next up, majority of the people on this card playing double duty today. Mitchell Maverick is going one-on-one with someone that's never defeated me, but has defeated you, and I feel sorry for you because you wrote it. Mitchell Maverick defeats Stevie Goebel in the second ever finisher-only match to become the New Age champion.
Yeah, so obviously Mitchell Maverick wasn't quite the star that everybody else in EBW was. I mean, you had the James Rubels, the Chris Jones, the Austin Chaos, the Genocide. You guys even recruited Ryan Grayson, and then there was the sore thumb, Mitchell Maverick.
Well, recruiting Ryan Grayson is...
yeah. Well, that's a story. We could do an whole episode on that. So, so Mitchell Maverick, he wasn't the established character. He's kind of the new up-and-comer that you guys were building. And this is before Zach Washington would join the group, and he would be the next kind of like built-up, pampered star. So Mitchell Maverick was just, there.
Yeah.
So, what better of a way? Yes, it was Stevie Goebel, but what better of a way than to give Mitchell Maverick a little bit of rub and give him a New Age championship and kind of establish something for Mitchell Maverick to try to give EBW a little bit of dominance, a little bit of gold, a little bit of that, hey, like XW, you got weak people like Stevie Goebel on your brands. And our weakest can beat your weakest and take the New Age championship. Now what are you going to do? Your top guys can't beat us, and neither can your weak guys. So it was a cool nod.
Like I said, Mitchell Maverick was able to defeat Stevie Goebel. And throughout this whole show, and I believe Backyard Bash or Brawl, whichever one it's called, I don't remember now.
Backyard Brawl, yeah.
You had XCW Crusaders in the back of every EBW superstar's mind. So
I want to say that was at Backyard Brawl when that took place. We already had what was coming up at SummerMania established, so like we already knew what was at stake when it came to that. Like we had a match with Matt Cinchel and James Cerebral at Backyard Brawl, and then I would show up out of nowhere and I'd do the beatdown on Matt, and then he would throw Matt into the gear, a big thing of corn, and but each person that was on the stage also, like you would come out and Corey Lee would be standing there, and you guys would have some face-to-faces, and it was a way to build the anticipation for everything that was coming up at SummerMania. And I remember Gabe being on commentary talking about EBW SummerMania, and him and Brendan Stickle going back and forth on commentary. The Crusaders was just a way to continue to build up SummerMania and really put into perspective the rivalries that were intertwined in the overall rivalry of the company versus company.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to go to our first commercial break. More when we come back.
April! Every day. This is going to be a crazy match. You know, I'm almost happy to be here, like. Hobbs Cannon has the opportunity here to become the EBW champion.
Uh-oh.
Oh, the tag team partners right now. There it is, running power slam. Nice from Mitchell Maverick here at EBW. Oh my God. And I mean, this tells you what kind of night we're having when it starts out with an EBW World Championship match. Oh my God, Chris Jones is on a roll, but Ox Cannon still stands and he got them all. Career suicide by Chris Jones. And another super kick.
I think that's about done.
There it is. 1, 2, and we have an EBW champion. Wow.
Wow is right.
And we're back from that great beam footage. And like he was alluding to, you know, EBW's ingraining their toes into XCW, trying to take over, trying to, you know, end XCW, make it EBW, which we'll get to into the future. But next up on this card is someone, well, two people I'm very familiar with, and you'll know why in a second. It is Psycho Circus Clown going one-on-one with Dynamite DTC. DTC would manage to squeak out the victory.
So, this is an interesting match on the card because it doesn't really fit in with the rest.
Exactly.
Psycho Circus Clown is obviously representing XCW at the time, but DTC technically wasn't on either side. So the interesting thing is that EBW presents this card, you know, and Gabe's trying to present his own show, and it's a lot of XCW versus EBW throughout. But he shocks us all by bringing DTC and kind of teasing DTC being a part of EBW's roster.
Yep.
Which was kind of a slap in the face to XCW for the fact that DTC wasn't on either roster at the time. So it's like Gabe was powerful enough in his tenure as the owner of EBW that he could draw free agents that were once a part of XCW back to EBW to try to take XCW down, and that's powerful. Especially when it's someone like DTC who is so closely tied with myself and, you know, XCW, VK2, all the history that we had. So it was an interesting concept to invite DTC to put him in that situation. And a little fun fact, DTC was a part of your original EBW, which even played to it more.
I was going to get into that, yeah. DTC, not like a super mainstay back in the original EBW days, but like, you know, DTC, you know, was a part of EBW. And another thing is, you being the neutral party is interesting as well because you were also a part of EBW.
Yeah. I had a little rivalry with Knuckles there.
You did. Like,
Big time Chase Jones.
Knuckles like a lot of people don't know, Knuckles' tryout match for XCW was that match. Granted, he probably would have went on to wrestle for XCW anyways, but we alluded to that if Knuckles won, Knuckles would be able to be a part of XCW.
And then I got taken out by Big Timer Chase
taken out by Big Timer Chase Jones, which also end up, you know, a few shows in XCW also end up joining the XCW roster at some point. So like anybody, Gabe was proving he could just, you know, pick and place DTC. Who knows? You know, what if he wouldn't have, but what if he would be able to get Big Timer Chase Jones? What if he would have been able to get Brandon Bruner? Like Brandon Bruner, a lot of people don't realize is like, even though Brett Shepard, Blaze, and Ray,
which was a big part of XCW at the time too.
Blaze also wrestled a couple of times in EBW. But the thing is, like, Blaze and Brandon Bruner was Blaze's younger brother, and like they were all good wrestlers. Like if they had their head into XCW as much as like we did, like who knows what they could have accomplished. Like Gabe just proving like with DTC be able to pick up an independent person, a free agent, and place them, you know, to show out, and he beat Psycho Circus Clown.
I'll tell you what, if Gabe would have got Ronnie, I would have been on XCW's side. Getting my revenge for that hammer shot.
Yeah, Ronnie did hit you like a shoot shot with the hammer on the hand.
Yeah.
It was funny, but not funny.
Yeah. That was the same show that Hazard broke Skylar Stone's nose.
Yes.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah. Lots of footage to dive back into.
Yeah.
Next up, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Brandon Hobbs is international champion this time, or am I wrong? Because he was the regional EBW, and we took him out.
When you guys took him out,
He was world champion.
World champion. He was in a match with Matt Chinchell. They were in the cage match. That was the one where Matt had the broken foot.
Because I know
But I'm honestly not sure about the international title.
Because Backyard Brawl, he's international champion.
Okay.
That's what I was asking. But we got James Cerebral facing off against hardcore Brandon Hobbs. And something that's interesting about this is one of the reasons James Cerebral broke his ankle was because of Brandon Hobbs, which was after this. But James Cerebral would get the victory against Brandon Hobbs.
I mean, kudos to Gabe for putting these two together. Obviously, you know you're going to get a big fight. And, of course, Brandon Hobbs was such an integral, important part of XCW during this time. Always in a main event picture, always in the world title picture. So Brandon Hobbs was a major player in XCW. And you want to put major players against other major players. And to do so, I mean, if you got somebody like Brandon Hobbs that's on the card, you got to dig up your big time players. And on the EBW side, what bigger of a player, the flag bearer, in my opinion, of EBW, the standard bearer of what EBW should have been was James Cerebral.
Yeah. And like an interesting thing is like Brandon Hobbs started off in EBW. Before this show, he's a part of EBW. And then he went on, he won the world title. And then like immediately after he won the world title, you know, go out, celebrate with all your EBW brethren. And we just beat him down.
And that was James Cerebral's goal, was to get that XW championship. So,
and like I said, James Cerebral would defeat Brandon Hobbs. And at this point in the show, it's not looking good for XCW, if I say so myself.
I can agree with that.
Semi-main event, I would say either the best match on the card or the second best match.
Definitely best match on the card.
Austin Chaos going one-on-one with Tommy the Man Merriman in a street fight.
It was just a little bit of a tamed down version of what you and Austin would go on to do at Backyard Brawl. Tommy really catapulted Austin into the next stratosphere with this match, and they've been kind of going back and forth for a while. They had the Canadian strap match on XCW TV.
We fucked him up.
And yeah, we seen Tommy get destroyed in that. Tommy to this day talks about that Canadian Lumberjack match because Canadian Lumberjacks, exclusive to XCW, what it is you have your Lumberjacks outside of the ring, and they all have leather straps. So if you don't, it takes you, however long it takes you to get in the ring, is how long you're going to get beat with those leather straps. And boy, did Tommy get an ass beating because every Lumberjack was EBW. There was no XCW, and I'm pretty sure that was also the same show that Corey Lee got his beat down, and we did the angle where he ended up with concussion, and that was kind of how we turned Corey Lee into the big-time babyface that it was right around that same era. So.
Yeah, I think that's when I punted the chair while he was against the shed.
Yep.
Like, it's interesting.
That was kind of going into Allegiance, I believe.
It's interesting because those Canadian Lumberjacks, you got the likes of Genocide and myself, and like
Mitchell Maverick, the Mummy.
Yeah, the whole point, like, we know people like you and Tommy and Roddy so well. We know what you would want if you were that wrestler. So me and Genocide, at least exclusively, lit Tommy's ass up. Like, I don't think I've hit somebody as hard as I hit Tommy with a belt in my entire lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, you walk out the XCW curtain now on the tunnel stage that we have, there's a little note above the door when you're walking out, and it just says, have fun, be safe, and lay it in.
I've not noticed that.
Thank you, Aaron, for that.
Also, we didn't say, but Austin Chaos would defeat Tommy in this match.
Yeah, I think kind of the layout of this show was to show that EBW had some dominance and that EBW were, in contention of taking XCW down. And if we had XCW guys show up on EBW's first show and destroyed them, that wouldn't have done much good. But titles were on the line in the main event, so it was even bigger.
And as we get into the main event, maintaining the dominance, the force, EBW's inaugural show, you have Straight Edge Solution, Ryan Grayson, Corey Lee going up against myself and Mr. 187 Genocide for the XCW Tag Team Championships. And me and Genocide would squeak that one out.
I think it was very important. It really set the tone for everything between Outrage and SummerMania. It really set the tone to make sure that EBW not only started the show crowning their champion, but it also ended the show, with an XCW title important. And we knew in the future that Corey Lee was going to be the guy to represent XCW going into SummerMania. So he'd been in the tag team with Ryan Grayson for quite some time at that point, so we knew that we kind of needed to gradually go away from that, and obviously then dropping the tag titles. And some of the promos and the skits that you and Genocide were doing at the time, it was like, damn, you cannot escape that. Probably one of the more interesting times in the tag team division in XCW's history. So, as you know, the tag titles are kind of a roller coaster in XCW. So, it was a fun time.
And you talk about interesting time for tag team wrestling. You think about the superstars in the main event. Like you think about Chris Jones. You don't obviously I've been a tag team champion a couple times, but you think about me. When you think about me, you think about single superstar. You really think about Corey Lee. You think about single superstar. Genocide, granted, he's the tag team specialist. Think about Genocide. You think about the boat. You think about the single superstar. Ryan Grayson, not obviously as memorable as the other three, but Ryan Grayson, a single superstar. So when you, for this to be as good of a match as it was, you combine 4 people that are single superstars that can work together in a tag team, and then like you said, the promos that granted half of them were dumb as fuck, but they were entertaining.
Chemistry was off the fucking chain.
It was entertaining. Like if you cut a promo,
and some of the stuff you guys did in the ring was just as dynamic. There's a spot in this match that we're talking about. Genocide's got it hooked for the German. I think he's got it on Grayson. The super kick comes in. Boom. And Corey and Grayson were a damn good team too. So they were called the Trash Bag Brothers. They can actually get gayer at the time. But man, if I could relive XW versus EBW, but put it in the ring and the settings that we have now, my God, unbelievable.
If only we had money sooner, I guess.
Yeah.
Or had the opportunity.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Obviously, throughout the short history up to this point, EBW made some changes. We had the Brandon Hobbs, and we did the jump on the Brandon Hobbs. Brandon Hobbs is gone. And after this show, we were to bring in,
Ryan Grayson.
We brought in Ryan Grayson. Unwillingly brought in Ryan Grayson for him. And then we also brought in the likes of Zach Washington. Do you think the card would have changed at all if we wouldn't have did the jump on Brandon Hobbs? And the XCW World Champion would have been in EBW? And even Zach Washington, because Zach Washington was an excellent wrestler.
No, I don't think. I think everything went exactly the way that it was supposed to. I don't think Brandon Hobbs really fit into the EBW mold.
I agree.
Anyway, it was just a way to get some heat on Brandon, and so I think it wasn't really a long-term thing. It was just a way at the time to get everybody in position where EBW had some numbers until we got to a certain point.
And the funny thing is, everybody that did the attack on Brandon Hobbs was a bunch of greedy cunts. You think me? You think Austin?
Cerebral?
You think cerebral? As soon as he came out of the cage and he was raising that belt,
the first thing Cerebral does is look at the belt. My only regret is we probably should have put Carnage in EBW.
Oh man, I completely agree. Who better? He was the Chris when I was gone. after the Untouchables, like, he was the Chris Jones flag bearer for me, like, but
boy, ball drop there. I don't know what we were thinking. I'm pretty sure that Carnage, like I said at the time, was with Crisis, and they were doing the End of Days, and they were trying to dethrone Emily. So in a way, I mean, they were trying to get rid of the general manager that's running the XCW brand, not the EBW brand. So
as we head to the end of this episode, one of my favorite things is, obviously, us being wrestling. I won't call us wrestling experts. You're more of the expert, but big time wrestling fans play Dave Meltzer.
This is a 4 out of 5, easy, and that's even with Stevie Goble, Mitchell Maverick, DTC, and Psycho Circus Con. The magnitude of
I don't even think the DTC Psycho Circus
it was a good match. I'm just saying, when you look at those two matches and the 4 people that are involved, you don't necessarily consider them the big time, top of the line, you know. But to have an EBW Championship match right off the bat and a Battle Royal, and then to have Hobbs Cerebral, just the 3 matches alone, Hobbs Cerebral, Tommy Merriman, Austin Chaos, and then the main event with the tag, that's huge.
And, like, it's not just like, I completely agree, 4 to 5 stars. It's not even just the magnitude of those particular superstars in the matches, it's also the promos that went in these matches. And, like, every person that was involved in the show, whether it was, you know, the wrestlers, whether it was even you that didn't wrestle at this point, whether it was, like, the announcers played a big part in this, too, because you had Gabe.
Who was the EBW brand. And then you had Brendan, which was the XW brand, and then JJ came in right after that and was kind of the in-the-middle guy. And
Brendan ends up, like, not storyline involved in, like, what would be the final days as we go down the road of EBW. It's like everybody played an integral role in Outrage. So, like we said, 4 to 5 stars, and I thoroughly enjoyed the show. It's not my favorite of the 2 for particular reasons, because obviously the next one being EBW's equivalent of SummerSlam. So, you know, we're going to dive into that next show as we jump into EBW's Backyard Brawl. Join us next time for episode 6.
Too many thoughts in my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste our time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he get in it, better and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their bosses been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash, right the shit out of luck. Ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Talking about shit they don't even know. Why they tryna tell me about what I should do? They don't know about the shit I've been through. It ain't what it seems, it ain't what it seems. Been 4 years, I've been chasing dreams. This ain't overnight, this ain't overnight. Working every night till the sunrise.